Okay, Mr. Chair, we're recording and I'll toss it to you.
All right, thank you, everybody. Welcome to our March 21st monthly meeting of the Fire Service Membership Council. To start off with doing a quick roll, Carl, if you could.
Yep, got it. Mr. Chair, I've got you. Tim Deal, were you able to join yet?
I just made it here, Carl.
Oh, under the wire. Tim had messaged me and said he might be running late. That's why I asked. Chief Adams, I've got you. Marshall Black, I saw you. Marshall Boysford, I saw you. Chief Collins, are you on? Marshall Desrochers, I've got you. Fire Chief BJ Hyde, are you on? Okay. Ed Kaminsky.
Sorry, Carl. Yes, I'm here.
Oh, gotcha, BJ. Great. Thank you. And formally congratulations to you, by the way, too, even though I missed it last month. Ed Kaminsky, are you on? Andy King.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh,
I'm
gotcha,
here.
Ed.
Yes, sir.
Thanks
Yep.
for chiming in. Chief
Yeah.
King, how about you? Chief Lefevre. Marshall Lund, I got you on the way in. Chief McShane, are you with us?
Fire response to the carpool 13100 East Grand River 13100 East Grand River.
Marshall Medina.
You're going to be responding and to attend.
Present.
Yep, saw you. Marshall Nelson, I've got you. Kelly, I've got you. Christine, I've got you. And Chief Wassom, I've got you. Randy Metz is off today and will not be joining us. I don't know if Andre's with us or not. I'm here, and I believe that still constitutes a quorum. Yes, it does.
Perfect, thank you. Welcome to everyone, and I see we're at 53 people right now, which is great. So thanks for being here. Without dragging things on too much here, we've got two guest presentations today. We'll get started just to keep them going. The first one's going to be on the National First Responder Wellness Week, which is next week. Mandy's with us to do a little presentation on that. Thank you for taking the time today to be here and share your information. If you're ready to go, we're happy to have you.
Thank you so much, sir. It's an honor to be here with Dr. Black as well. So we're going to go ahead and start with some information about Lexipol and Cortico, and then we're really excited to tell you all about First Responder Wellness Week 2.
Medical problem. Diverse style. 1660. Pattern drive.
I'll grab the mute here in a moment, folks.
Awesome. Dr. Black, would you like to introduce yourself and take us away?
Yeah, you bet. Thanks, Mandy, and thanks everyone so much for your service, your sacrifices, and all you do. We launched First Responder Wellness Week last year as a way of giving back to the first responder community with great gratitude and appreciation for all you do. And so Mandy will get into that. Mandy, you mind advancing to the next slide? I just want to give you a quick overview of Cortico Wellness. They're really awesome piece of technology that you can bring to your agency if you want to do something really cutting edge with wellness. This is an app that I built just over 6 years ago with a great team of people. We launched it. It's just been improving year over year ever since. And we've got all kinds of really exciting improvements happening. But this is the leading wellness solution for first responders nationwide. It's part of Lexipol. At Lexipol, we serve 2 million first responders. We work with more than 10,000 agencies. We own and operate, for example, FireRescue1.com and Fire Rescue One Academy. But Cortico is our wellness solution for first responders. And you'll find in here, if you get this for your agency, the industry-leading firefighter wellness resource library that covers everything you could imagine. Sleep, shift work sleep, resilience, mental health for firefighters, family support for firefighters, all kinds of physical health and wellness and mental health and wellness tools and resources, videos. It's very engaging. There's constantly new content getting dropped in there. It integrates peer support training and certification so you can see who the certified peer supporters are. It integrates culturally competent clinicians who are equipped to work with firefighters, certifications, so that firefighters can come in here, they can find certified peer support, they can find culturally competent clinicians, they can take self-assessments designed by psychologists and get feedback if they're dealing with post-traumatic stress, depression, resilience issues, sleep issues, etc. And we really take pride in recruiting and bringing in the top subject matter experts to be contributors to this. And we have a lot of exclusive partnerships. If you're familiar with Jocko Willink, for example, he's our exclusive partner for this. And so just lots of cool stuff in here to give your agency a one-stop space to go to 24/7 anonymously for any wellness support they might need. So I just wanted to mention that. Feel free to reach out to Mandy or I, or just go to www.cortico.com and you can hit more info and get more info about it if you're interested in learning more about the solution for your agency. But First Responder Wellness Week is what we launched last year, and Mandy's going to go into detail about that. It's a completely free for all first responders, for all firefighters and your families, as a way of giving back to y'all. And so I'll turn it over to Mandy. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, and you might be wondering what First Responder Wellness Week is and why we host it. Essentially, First Responder Wellness Week is our chance to help the noble and selfless individuals in public safety take a minute to take a look at the opportunities to optimize their health. You guys spend so much time and so much of your lives dedicated to public service, and we're really excited to get to help encourage you to also take a second to prioritize you, because we need you. You're vital for our communities. And so we're really excited to support your wellness. So First Responder Wellness Week is a week-long effort. It's really designed to help educate public safety professionals on the mental and physical health risks that come with a job. And then most importantly, provide you with actionable resources that support your wellness that are specifically designed for public safety professionals. So as you can see, we have some different topics that we'll cover throughout the week, from physical fitness and peer support to nutrition, mental health, and family wellness. And again, when it comes to why we celebrate this week, it's because we celebrate you. We celebrate what you do for your communities, but we also celebrate you as humans. And we want to support your wellness so that you can enjoy a really high quality of life during your working years and well into retirement as well. This is a huge opportunity for leadership to also support the wellness of their personnel too, because we recognize that the job is tough and it might not even get easier, but we can all get stronger together. And we want to pave the way for your success to be able to get stronger and healthier and to maintain great resilience throughout your careers and beyond. So here's a little bit more information about the initiative itself. As we mentioned, it's a week-long initiative, and we'll be providing some great resources in terms of webinars and videos and articles and open discussions with first responders themselves about wellness, and also with industry-leading wellness SMEs to connect everyone to make sure that we're getting everyone the right resources and the best resources that they can use for wellness success. The intent behind this is really just to support you all. We want to make sure that everyone across the nation has access to these wellness support resources, and First Responder Wellness Week is where to get it. So you can see some of the impact that we're looking to make here. We want to help smash the stigma with mental health. We want to break down barriers that might exist around accessing wellness resources for mental health and physical wellness, and really just help you make a positive impact in the wellness of your personnel too. So if you're wondering how many people we have involved in this, it's something that we have encouraged everyone to participate in. We just started last year. This will be our second year, but we started strong with some really great success in terms of engagement from First Responder Wellness and from the other contributors. And we're excited to invite you to be part of that success as well. So we'll go into a little bit of detail on what each day entails, and then we'll leave some space for questions too. So day one is all about physical fitness. We know that in order to do the job, you do have to maintain a level of physical fitness to support yourself and to support the people around you. So I'm honored to get to host a webinar on peak performance with tactical athleticism. We'll be talking about evidence-based best practices to basically maintain really great physical fitness throughout your career and beyond. And we'll offer some great shift briefing videos and some additional resources to support you and your personnel's physical fitness. Day 2, our theme is peer support. So we have literally, I mean, the industry's best SME, in my humble opinion, Dr. Jamie Brower leading the charge on this with providing a webinar and then also some shift briefing videos and additional resources on peer support and how your agencies can get started with that, with how they can leverage what they have now to build an outstanding program. And some of the resources are also that we provide will also be talked about there too. And Dr. Black, if you wanted to add any additional information on that, I know that this is quite the big topic for us today, in this coming week.
Yeah, thanks, Mandy. This is a good one. If you've already got a peer support team, how to level up your peer support team, ensure they've got appropriate policy, training in place, they're well equipped, you've got the appropriate number of peer support team members. And if you don't have a peer support team, no problem, you'll find everything you need to get it kicked off and started here. So kind of no matter where you're at, you'll find valuable resources on this day.
Absolutely. Day 3 is all about nutrition, and we know that nutrition is really important for maintaining great energy levels. A lot of first responders might be turning to energy drinks to try and gain adequate energy throughout the day, but there are better ways, and there are portable, affordable ways to pack the snacks to get really healthy meals in, and that's what I'll be going over with some of our great SMEs, registered dietitians who specialize in serving public safety as well. So we'll have webinars again and some videos here, some articles and some tips to make nutrition really easy for everybody. We also support mental health, of course, and we're really excited to share some great resources that are specific to the fire industry in terms of supporting mental health for those professionals. Dr. Rochelle Zemlock has done a phenomenal job putting together really great resources for members of the fire industry, and you'll get to see her in a webinar where she's talking about busting myths and stopping the stigma around firefighter therapy, and also she's going to give some really great tips on how to, again, make sure that your personnel have the support that they need most when they need it most. She'll also be talking about family support. So obviously, it's pretty impossible to separate the job from your personal life some days, but she'll be talking about how everyone can get stronger together, involving their family in personal wellness and making sure that the families feel supported along the course of your personnel's career as well.
And if you haven't had a chance to see Dr. Z speak, she's outstanding, and she's married to a fire captain, and she really lives that life of the first responder, the firefighter life, and she gets it. And as a psychologist, she's able to provide very clear, concise, helpful recommendations. So I think people get a lot of value out of that one.
Absolutely. Yes. She's very dynamic, very engaging, and a real joy to get to see in live and also online. So we do have some opportunities for you to get involved. We know that this event is coming up quick on March 25th through the 29th, but it's not too late to get involved. It's not too late to share the information. We actually put together a really user-friendly toolkit that you can use to help spread the word, and we would love to share that with you. All of these resources are 100% free because our #1 goal is to support your wellness, and as leaders to help, as in respect of your leadership, to make sure that you're able to share these very easily with your personnel too. So with that, I'd love to take a pause for any questions.
Anybody have anything for Mandy at all, or Dr. Black? Seeing none, I'd like to say thank you both for taking the time to be with us today. Thank you to Lexipol for your commitment to giving us resources of the first responder community to stay safe and well in our job. So we appreciate your time with coming today and the work you guys did to put that program together for next week.
Absolutely. Yes, it's our honor. We're so appreciative of what you all do day in and day out. You've made the industry so much better than how you found it. And supporting wellness is one way that we can all support each other as we continue to grow and evolve.
Yeah, and thanks for the opportunity to present with you all this morning. We tried to go through it pretty fast out of respect for everyone's time here, but this is a great free resource to push out to your personnel and to your colleagues in the community, and we think it'll benefit a lot of people out there in the first responder community. I always, say a lot of this stuff, it makes you stronger over time if you got the right tools in place, right? But just leaving people alone to kind of figure that on their own, that's very hit and miss. And a lot of time it doesn't work. So this is about giving people tools and resources, accelerate their ability, 10, 20 years so they don't have to figure it out all on their own.
Good stuff.
All
Thank
right,
you
everyone.
again.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. All right, with that quick pause, the next item on our agenda is Dwayne Garriss. And I didn't see Kevin, probably Kevin. Oh, Kevin's on. Yeah.
Kevin's on.
Hey,
I'm
thank
here.
you.
Thank you.
To give us sort of an update on their the work that they're Dwayne's the chair of the group looking at existing building safety guides, and he knows way more than I know. If I don't know which one, Kevin or Dwayne, which one's kicking it off, but if you guys can take it from here and just show us what you've been working on and how this will help us evaluate existing building safety from the ICC side.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I don't really have a way to present because I'm on the road traveling and stuff, but just
I
wanted
can
to
put the guideline on the draft guideline up on the screen.
Okay, that'd be fine. Thanks, Kevin.
Perfect. You're very welcome, sir.
So we've had this committee meeting quite some time. What we thought would be done maybe at the end of December actually carried out till the 1st of March. But basically there was a request that came to us or to the ICC saying, or the ICC board recommended that a existing building guideline, safety guideline be developed for building inspection and maintenance of buildings that could be utilized by local governments who are trying to deal with some of the recent issues we've had with existing buildings such as Surfside and others. And so this committee had a wealth of knowledge put together. We had tons of interested parties that have been involved, even in helping script some of the guide itself. But basically, this guide is to provide a framework for an existing building condition assessment program by the local governments to be adopted if they're trying to figure out how to deal with the evaluation of existing buildings on a continuous basis. So the IFC and the most people have most governments have the IFC adopted, but the IPMC isn't always adopted by local governments. So this gives basically assistance to back up those two codes, to give some time frames, items to look for, whose responsibility is what, and if something is noted, sort of a process of what's the next step and who needs to be called in and at what time. So, it gives basically, currently you got the building owner is responsible for maintaining their building, right? For the life of the building. So they're supposedly doing yearly inspections or yearly evaluations of everything that's going on, whether it's the fire protection systems, the passive active systems, the building envelope, all, the roof, the electrical systems inside, the mechanical systems, all that stuff. So in looking at it, we tried to give a methodology of approach of how it should be dealt with. I think if you went to, Kevin, if you go to the table under table 4, it sort of basically gives here's the items that need to be looked at. Maintenance assessments are supposed to be done yearly by the building owner and his engineering team or whatever. And that's done yearly. And that's pretty much prescribed in the codes. But after that, it's sort of, the codes are sort of silent of maybe we need to take some deeper dives. And so we put in 3 different assessment types. and that would be a maintenance assessment, which is on a yearly basis, a periodic assessment, which is maybe a deeper dive into getting a qualified professional to look deeper at these elements. And then if there's something that is noted as a concern, to give either some follow-up processes and when that should occur, and who should be involved in that. The idea is that we on this particular table, we had probably a month-long debate of timeframes, because of structural issues, the systems themselves, and how deep of a dive it needs to go in. So really, this guide is to start out a visual assessment. That's really what we're dealing with, a visual assessment of when that needs to be occurring, again, by the building owner. And then when you bring in a qualified professional, also gives you some ideas to think about, if I have some environmental conditions, site changes, natural disasters that may have occurred around the building that may make that time frame default a little bit sooner than the 15 years that's being recommended. Will give you that thought process in there. And then after that it's done, gives you again some periodic follow-ups after that. In that, we also put in the language. We tried to keep the language, I guess, as enforceable as possible. So we added a lot of annexes to it to try to give things that may need to be considered, that may, if this guideline goes into a standard process, then maybe this is stuff that gets pulled into the actual guide itself. But one is, here's the things that you need to prepare under Appendix A. You need to hopefully have records of. Then
I'll swing up to B. Sorry, I'll swing up to B for you.
Okay. And then the next thing would be the recommended existing building assessment log, how that's to be done and recorded. The templates of what should be looked at. So we provided some templates to give you hopefully something to deal with in Appendix C. Appendix
This one's
D
kind of long, so hang on. Yeah, this one's a little bit long, so there's one for each discipline.
Then we had a Appendix D, sort of a summary of some ordinance requirements that if somebody really wanted to dig a little deeper, they could go see some jurisdictions that are already dealing with some of these assessment programs and their process. I think Appendix E is probably the best thing that was developed, because it helped us keep on track on what loopholes we may have had into the guide itself. So it's a decision tree, flow chart of if you're going through the process and this occurs, then this is where you got to make a decision of what occurs after that. And that sort of takes you through the main sections of the guide itself. And then Appendix F, the question came up, well, if I have an existing building, how do I transfer or transition this into this program? So we sort of gave some time frames and a thought process to that in Appendix F. And that's pretty much it. So really what we're looking for, you should have gotten an email, I think, from Carl around March 11th, 12th, somewhere around there when this was put out for public comment. We did our darndest to make this a good thing, but I'm sure sometimes when you talk and discuss it for months and months, you think you've covered it and you may have left out something. So we're looking for public comments on the guide. If there's something we left out, we need to think about, reconsider. We're keeping it out there for in accordance with the council policy for 30 days. I think we may potentially do maybe a 2-week window extension because we are in the middle of the code hearings when this came out. come to the first part of April. But anyway, with that said, we're just trying to get some feedback on this so that we can publish this and hopefully make it available for jurisdictions to utilize as a guide to start a process that may not exist and they're looking for an answer.
And Dwayne, I just real quick, I wanted to kind of capitalize a little bit on the comments you made about the visual assessment, because I think that's a key element to this guideline. This is an initial visual assessment of the building from a complete discipline, open discipline process for all of the buildings. And really, we're trying to prevent situations where a building could be hazardous, unsafe, or dangerous, or we have to move people out of the building. So we want to identify those concerns early enough in the process where people are safe, and do that so that we can do a further evaluation, maybe some non-destructive testing, or we do some other additional, structural work or repairs or enforcement action. But we want to get that done as soon as possible before something tragic happens again. And again, we added the other disciplines within the building because from a building holistic, it's a holistic unit that works together. The structural doesn't work well without the means of egress, and the means of egress doesn't work well without the fire protection system. So it all rolls together into a full building assessment. And again, as Dwayne said, the public comment period is open, and the committee's done a great job of bringing this to this point in the process.
Thank you both for giving us an overview of that. I had a quick question. How does it line up, or did you guys take into consideration the ASTM standard guide for property condition assessments at all? Or is it, I haven't done anything with that for years, but I know that was sort of a tool to look at existing buildings quite a while ago.
So we did do some of that with the roof systems and the structural glazing. We actually made reference to the ASTM standards in that particular area, as well as the building facade itself.
Gotcha. Thank you. Anyone else have questions or comments, or as Dwayne indicated, they get sent out last week, so please take the time to look at it. Kelly, I see you got your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. And Dwayne, I was able to read through this, a good part of it the other day when I got it from Carl, and I like the document. My question is, being it's a guide versus a code, you're kind of in no man's land. It seems like there's some very instructive requirements in there, but then there's some awesome areas that are kind of suggestive. And I'm just wondering, how would somebody go about trying to adopt this document when it's not in code language per se, but yet it's still directive, or I should say highly suggestive in other areas? And I'm sure you've had this conversation, but if you can just kind of revisit that just a little bit, it would be helpful.
Okay. We'll certainly try to do that. So really this is to you would have to have an ordinance or regulation that basically takes this guide and then implements the enforcement side of it. So just as you do with the adoption of the codes, you would have to do an ordinance or a regulation that would put that put this guide in as a requirement. Okay. And once you do that, we defined as best we could the responsibility of the owner, the design, not the design professional, but the qualified professional, and then the code official themselves, what their responsibilities were, who's supposed to be notified, and things like that. So one of the big discussions that took place was when you have a design professional or engineering professional that's hired by a building owner, that client is the owner, not the code professional. So we had some concern of when is it okay to sort of, how do we force the owner to give that information to the code official, especially when it becomes a dangerous situation? And I think we figure that out pretty much in the document itself. The flow chart shows it a little bit better, I think, with the actual references to the guide itself. But again, Kelly, I think the key is, just like any other code or standard, it has to be adopted by the jurisdiction to make it enforceable.
Yeah. And Dwayne, I think one of the key elements in this too, and for Kelly's benefit and the other folks on the call, is that the guideline would be something that a local jurisdiction could take and edit and modify it as they deem appropriate for their jurisdiction. And it gives them a real good template for that starting process. I will tell you also, and that's why it's in this guideline format, because in a guideline process, we can push it out quicker than other formal documents that we have to do. We're strongly considering, and I'm optimistic that we're still going to proceed forward later this year with a standard. We have an ANSI pin reserved for this topic to be ICC 1500 standard. And so I fully expect that we're going to pursue that later this year. So to Kelly's point, yes, we'll move this documentation more into that kind of chargeable language that you would normally see in a standard or a code, with probably a similar proposal in the next code cycle where we would say, assess certain buildings and in accordance with this standard at this frequency and this intervals. And so that'll probably come up as well.
Thank you. That actually helps quite a bit.
And I believe it's sort of addressed in the second paragraph of the introduction, I think on page 2 or something, to say that, it's a template. It's not really written in model code language, model ordinance language, but it's meant to convey the importance of the concepts that need to be dealt with if you are putting together such a program. And it also is to be used in conjunction with, not to overrule the IPMC and the IFC itself. So that was the other 2 important things we wanted to point out.
Good. Anyone else have anything for Kevin or Dwayne?
I'm the point of contact. Just to kind of close this up, I'm the point of contact down there. So if you have a question, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to try to help you out. And you can submit your public comments to me directly via email.
Thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome.
Good stuff. Thank you guys for being here today and sharing the work to the committee. Definitely appreciate it. So, see one other hand. Bob, is that Bob?
Yeah, Bob Davidson. Sorry, I had to get off a business call to get in here. I only had one question about the guide. It had exceptions, detached 1-2-family homes and townhouses. I'm not sure, but wasn't that a townhouse type construction that we lost the Baltimore firefighter in? In the inner city area, a great many of those buildings, some are single, but some are townhouses. Why would we accept them? If they're vacant, they're vacant, right?
Well, so the application of this guide also was a very long discussion. We originally had the category, 2, 3, 4, and 5 buildings, and really didn't have category 1 buildings in them. And again, that was a big discussion, as why shouldn't this be applicable to everything? So again, as a guide, we're sort of saying, well, here's the easiest way to maybe absorb it into the workforce. We're all struggling for having a strong workforce of individuals, and we're all have a lot of vacancies to my knowledge. So it definitely in the guide, it says that, any of this can be modified, the timeframes, what it's applicable to, and everything can be dealt with in that adoption of it. So we struggled with it a little bit, and that was sort of the agreement to disagree at that point, Bob.
All right. I mean, my
And-
own
and-
suggestion was the exception could be the following occupied buildings are exempted, right? And that's just, a minor change to this, but highlights the fact that the vacant buildings, if they're vacant, they're vacant. They should fall under the program. That's just a minor recommendation. Otherwise, I like the document.
Thank you, Mr. Davidson. That sounds like a public comment.
Yeah, we would love to have that in writing.
Yeah, if you could put that in an email, I think we can manage that pretty easily. But
See if
yeah,
that'll
that's the
go
kind of
knock on Dwayne's
feedback
door.
we're looking at.
Okay, anybody else for maybe a final call? All right, thank you guys again, and make sure that comment and any others get to Kevin, hopefully mid-April. If not, they sound like they might give us that 2 weeks, so that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you,
All
Mr.
right,
Chair.
we'll move on.
Thank Carl for putting the information in the chat. By the way, it's the website along with the contact information. So
He's on that stuff. He loves this chat feature.
yeah, it does.
All right, we'll move on to the regular meeting, I guess, at this point. Any additions or corrections to the agenda that anybody sees? Nothing, sounds like. The minutes for the February meeting are Carl sent out. I'd entertain a motion for the minutes for the February meeting.
This is Kelly, so moved.
Second, Collins.
Thank you. Any discussion on the minutes from February? All in favor, take an aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
A bunch of them. Any nays? The ayes have it. All right. Thank you. I'm still trying to get a handle on that on the virtual part. That's all right. So we'll start with some the work group updates. Ryan Adams, if you want to start with member engagement.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everybody. We had our monthly meeting on Tuesday of this week. I'll try to kind of keep it short this month. Discussed obviously the presenters we had today, working on some potential presenters for our in-person meeting in Orlando here in a couple weeks. So we hopefully we'll have more to come on that soon. And then discussed for those on the call, especially those that are going to be in Orlando when we have the in-person meeting. Had some good discussion on some face-to-face times to discuss topics for presenters for the membership, the monthly meetings, and driving that membership engagement and providing some value to the Fire Service Membership Council. So looking forward to being face-to-face with everybody and having some more of those conversations and hopefully building out a good schedule of presenters for at least the near future of the next several months so that we can advertise those so people can plan for those presenters. But other than that, I don't have anything else to report right now.
Thank you, Brian. Anything, questions or anything for Brian at all? Kevin, I saw you popped your hand up. I don't know if that's at the beginning. Do you need anything or questions on that?
No, I just accidentally did that, so I'm sorry.
Perfect. No problem. No problem. All right. Thank you, Brian. Emerging issues and trends, Michael Desrochers.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Chair Toomey. Our group met on Monday. We had a pretty decent turnout. We had 16 people on our work group meeting with some good discussion. One of the topics we discussed was this single exit trend that is going across the country here. and if you're probably aware, Wassom did write up an opposition paper to this single exit for buildings over 3-4 stories high and up to whatever stories they may have a desire to do. But anyways, we discussed that for about half an hour. We also discussed a little bit about some new battery technology that may be coming down at some point here. And maybe Kelly, not to put you on the spot there, buddy, but maybe you could talk just for a second about it, if you don't mind.
Sure. Basically, what we were talking about is in the admin, we've been dealing with ESS now for a cycle and a half or so, and it's because of lithium batteries in general, it's a point of discussion for a lot of people and departments. And of course, to have an ESS in your home, you have to pay the money for that. You have to have the electrician for that. You have to have the permit for that. It's got to be inspected. And so manufacturers of other products are saying, you know what, there's a way to kind of get around that. And that is because they're looking to electrify everything. We may start seeing lithium batteries or a battery type included in everything from refrigeration systems to stove ranges and items like that. The standards don't approach that. They're going to have to deal with that. We're seeing it. Manufacturers are coming to UL and asking about doing this. And so in light of what the federal government is pushing on the electrification of everything, we may see batteries in locations we never thought we would have batteries before. And that way you don't have to have an ESS for the whole house. You just have an ESS in certain appliances, which is, from a manufacturer standpoint, they're kind of using the process and the cost as an excuse to be able to put them in appliances so they can sell their appliances in this electrification atmosphere. And that seems to be one of the selling points. So right, wrong, or indifferent, it's coming down the pike, and that was our point of discussion.
Thank you, Kelly. And just as a little bit of information, the single exit opposition paper that Wassom has put out was used in Connecticut this week. In fact, the Connecticut State Fire Marshal didn't testify at the legislature, but what he did do is this paper was sent to the fire service organizations, and the legislature failed, that they did not pass the single exit in the legislature. So now it goes down to whether it'll be a proposed rule amendment to the codes in Connecticut. So rather than being legislated, it is now being brought down to the rulemaking stage. So anyways, we spent a lot of time discussing this. At the face-to-face meeting, I'd probably like to seek some input from the council as to what they feel we can branch out to seek other emerging issue and trend topics and stuff, just to kind of engage the council as a whole on our work group efforts. We also, our PowerPoint program has been updated. I've been receiving some comments from folks that looked at it, and we're making changes to the PowerPoint program. So look forward to seeing everybody face to face, and I'm going to try to recruit anybody who wants to be on our emerging issues team, and anybody that wants to help out any of our work groups. We actually have a pretty good time, and we got a bunch of good people on these work groups. And it's nice to be able to talk to people that share the same challenges and so forth we do. So anybody that wants to join any of the work groups, I'll just solicit, either let myself, Carl, Sean, just let somebody know, because we definitely have room for participation. Thank you, sir.
Thanks for that shout out. I like that. You guys are like reading ahead of my notes today, so it's perfect. I see some in the chat. Allison and Kevin put some information on the single exit thing. They're ahead of me today, which is perfect. One of the comments we were talking about in one of the meetings earlier this week is I pay attention to the E24 and 25 code change proposals on the IBC egress side. They're aiming at single exits. So there's a bunch of efforts on the single exit thing in addition to that 3 and 4 family sprinkler coming across the country. So keep aware of it. Chiefs also put out a statement in opposition of the single exit. I think that came out last week. So that's another one that people can use if they need to. So if there's nothing else for emerging issues and trends, I'd like to pop to public awareness with Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, everybody. We had a meeting last week or so ago. And so in our discussions, the next article sets we're going to be doing is we're working on 2 for next month. One is going to be a generic article on A2Ls, more for public consumption, more so than necessarily fire department consumption, but to create a tool that departments can, if people have questions about it, they can at least, if they wanted to, download that and hand it out to the public. We're working on our 31 tweets for Building Safety Week or Building Safety Month, which is in May. And so we've got a team working on those as we speak. And then because of the conversations that we had with our emerging issues group, we kind of walked away thinking that we might need an article on the kind of a generic pros and cons of the single exit issue, so people will have a better understanding. Because people are operating as if this is a whole new issue, and it's not. This issue is basically this code where it's written in this area right now is written in blood, and it's why we have stop signs and stoplights out there. That's why we have 2 exits for a lot of these locations. And we've got the data is available from a fire death perspective. If we go back far enough in history to say when we used to build like this is what we could expect to happen. Not to mention what we run into with the fire department trying to ingress the building as people are trying to egress the building. That creates problems. We want to develop a generic paper on just kind of that platform and be able to provide that to folks. And then there was also a suggestion of something kind of related to that is develop another article talking about aging in place and how best to address that. We haven't fleshed either one of these 2 out by our group. It's just information that was kind of discussed on a sidebar note from the emerging issues folks, but we'll be discussing that at our next meeting and getting everybody's input on that. So we meet the second Thursday at 12 p.m. Central. So if anybody's interested in helping us out, you're more than welcome. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Anybody have any questions for Kelly? All right, seeing none. Training and education, Mark.
Hey, everybody. Just a quick update from me this month. We haven't met in a little while on the Training and Education Committee, just with lots of stuff going on and folks getting ready for code hearings coming up here in a few weeks. But we're gonna probably get to the in-person meeting here next month, and then we'll resume meeting again after that. But just a few things we've got going. I talked about a webinar in the past that unfortunately ran into some scheduling issues and didn't materialize, but we are going to try to get that going again later this year. That was on carbon monoxide safety. So we do intend to still offer that, maybe just kind of on an independent, try to get that going ourselves instead of being buried the way it was going to be. So watch for more on that. Still looking to try to get more webinars going later this year. We are signed up to help with the May 8th, Learn Live, which is the 2024 IFC updates, just a 90-minute presentation on that. So that'll be in the Learn Live system. The other thing that's going on is the call for proposals is out from the Code Council for the fall meeting in Long Beach. I think we've got about 10 days left before that deadline. So if we want to put together a proposal to send to the ICC for the fall meeting, please reach out. We've had something in there each of the past few years, basically since COVID kind of fouled things up. We've had a class in there, so would love to put something forward. Would love some ideas, especially fresh ideas we haven't done in the past. So please reach out if you've got any ideas for that. Otherwise, I think we'll just see everybody in April.
Thanks, Mark. Any questions of Mark at all? A lot of good stuff going on in the work groups. You've heard it a couple times today about trying to jump in and lend a hand. We can get everyone's participation in I don't know what Michael's doing in his groups, but 16, 17 people, if we can get that and the others, I think that'd be great. There's a lot of good overlap happening with the groups now, and I think we can only continue to do that. That'd be even stronger. So, all right, so we're going to move on to reports from officers and liaisons. I don't believe we have anyone from the board today. I'm missing anyone if you want to jump in, but I don't think we have anybody. And I don't think we have any other officers or directors at the ICC level at this point. So I'll jump into mine. Everyone stole everything from me, which is perfect, but I can't emphasize enough that we've got the in-person meeting April 6th and 7th. We're going to actually be meeting on the 7th at 9 a.m. In person, one of our 2 in-person meetings. It sounds like we've got great attendance. I think almost everyone's able to attend. So fingers crossed that everything moves forward in a good direction. Everyone's able to successfully get there. One of the things we're going to try to do at the in-person meeting is really expand on the work group discussion and give an update like we've been doing on these phone calls, but give a snapshot of what we're looking to do in the coming year, kind of and then just try to create some better discussion about some of the topics that are going on within the work groups while we're in person. So think about that in the next few weeks, and hopefully that will kind of foster some better conversation on the work groups as we move forward. We talked about the IBC egress proposals. There's some great chat going on in the chat on that, so take a look at that before we get finished. We're going to be at CFSI. We were able to fill out our table, so we have several of us from the governing committee that are going to be able to attend the CFSI event at the end of April. And I think that's everything that I had. So, Tim Deal, what do you have for us?
Oh, thanks, Sean. Basically, a little bit update. It'll be really more of the membership steering committee. Of course, our meeting is going to be next week, March 26th, for the chairs and vice chairs to get together, as well as anybody else that wants to, join in. Speaking of which, that brings us to, April, the leadership in-person meetings. We will be having, Dr. Green as a keynote speaker. After that, the steering committee will be having a panel on leadership. We'll have several people up there to speak with questions from Dr. Green. And our membership, the steering committee membership meetings at 8 o'clock. So get up bright and early so you can all come to that before we break out into our other council meetings. But that's really all I have right now. And go from there.
Thanks, Tim. On the quick note on the IC, I know Director Metz has been giving us the updates. The appeals for the energy code stuff did come out. There was a statement that came out yesterday, so take a minute to take a look at that. And I'm sure he'll be with us in April at the meeting if there's any questions. All right, we'll move on to the membership council and liaison reports. Building membership council. Be on from there.
Allison's here, but I didn't see Tom, so I don't know if Allison wants to give the update or not.
Yep,
Sure,
Tom
I'm
had
happy to
jump
give
off.
the update if Tom's not online.
Yep, he just jumped off.
Okay.
Thanks,
Hi,
Allison.
everybody. Thanks for having me here. The Building Membership Council is equally interested in and trying to educate people about the single stair issue. Like you said, this has been written in blood, and we've seen time and time again why we don't do this. So we're passionate about that. We're talking about as well, Building Safety Month is coming up. So you will see something from the committee there. Elizabeth Arrington and Amrinder Singh are putting out some great stuff to support folks. And we are also hoping on working on some better recognition for those in our industry who retire or pass away, in terms of not only acknowledging them up on the screen, but possibly getting something once somebody submits that information that's an automatic letter out thanking someone for the service they've done for the industry. So those are kind of our big projects coming up this spring. Certainly looking forward to them, and hopefully we'll have your all support too as we get into the codes and building safety month, since fire service is a critical part of our building safety. That's all I had, Tim, or anyone else, unless there was something I'm missing from that, but that's kind of what's coming up and what we'd love support from y'all on.
Thank you, Allison.
Thank you. Love to see you all at 8 a.m. in Orlando. I don't pick the start times.
Tim, you already covered the steering committee stuff. Global Membership Council, is anyone here today to speak on global membership?
Yes, Mr. Chair, this is Rock Mang.
Thanks, Rock.
So the global member services has been very active on the global stage. So we just attended the recent, I guess it's a Paris climate discussion. So CEO Dominic Sims and then the board chair Tom Stewart both attended. And then over in the Middle East, there's lots of work and lots of business to be done. So the branch office there has been quite busy. One of the Gulf nations foreman has signed a agreement. So we're going to help them to develop building codes. And so within our membership group, so we are planning webinars. So I think, there are probably going to be 3 webinars planned for the rest of the year. And then Long Beach, the global day, I think, usually it's a pretty popular program. That's no longer available. So we're trying to invite, a couple of international speakers at the education programs. So I think for now, that's all I have to report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Rock. Any questions for Rock? All right. Anyone on for Emerging Leaders Membership Council?
I think Greg was here. I'm not sure if he's still on. Greg Gilbert.
I'm here as well, Allison.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Kylie.
Kylie.
Take it.
Yep, sorry, my dog is barking in the background, so hopefully you guys don't have to hear that. I don't really have anything really to mention at this point. I really don't.
That works too. Thanks, Kylie.
Yeah.
All right. So others, Christine, I don't know if you want to switch. We'll do a quick update on the battery Energy Storage System Ad Hoc Committee.
Yeah, not a whole lot to report, but thank you, Sean. So the 4 work groups within the Battery Energy Storage Committee has been meeting. They have mid-month meetings. So work is underway with they're looking at code gaps, and it's pretty good analysis for each work group. So they're hard at work on that. Our next general committee meeting is April 4th, 2 p.m. Eastern. If you're interested in attending, we'll have more information to report out after we get a little bit more detail from the work groups. We're going to be presenting, Russ Manning is going to be presenting an agenda item to the board, basically just an overview again at their April meeting as to what this work group is currently doing, and we'll keep reporting out as more and more work gets completed. But that's all I have for now.
Thank you, Christine. Anyone else? So Carl managed to keep himself off the agenda today. So we don't want to forget him. He did text me thinking it would be a funny trick for the day, but I think we ought to drag him back into this conversation.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I took myself off for 1 month and I was going to see if I could float it for more, but I'll try to make this push as quick as I can. There's a lot of really great stuff going on here. So good to see everybody. And for those of you that I've seen on the road, which is many of you, it's been great to see you. I can't believe that it's March and I've been in so many different places. So anyway, the big update here that I wanted to bring up is that NIST had some meetings on March 7th and 8th, I believe. And since we were talking about the existing building guideline, I'm going to put in the chat there's a really good summary article from NPR on the investigators have narrowed the search into the cause of the collapse. So there's some really good information, initial findings in there that NIST released. So take a look at that when you can, and that'll give some good flavor to some of the updates that past President Garriss and Kevin McOsker gave us today, and the reasoning for their committee and some of the things we might be looking for in terms of issues in existing buildings as that piece goes forward. For those of you who hadn't seen it too, I'll put in the chat the ICC March Government Relations Monthly Update. So you can take a look at that when you have a moment. And let's see here, I do have some stuff. I put in the chat a few minutes ago. Sean, thank you for bringing up the ICC appeals on the IECC, the Energy Code. So the board action has been taken. That was published in an ICC Pulse and sent out to all of our members last night. I did put a link to that in the chat as well. If you do have questions on that, you can certainly ask your GR reps, but you would be well served to address those directly to the board, as well as to either Gabe Mazer or to Ryan Kolker on staff. So they're really our point people on that. So board first, if you'd like staff, Gabe and Ryan are good, and I'd be glad to put you in touch with them. We had an all-day meeting with NIST and their engineering lab on February the 20th. So our CEO, Dominic Sims, and then a number of our executive leaders from the organization were at NIST. I was glad to be included in that meeting, and we met face-to-face with their leaders while we were there in an all-day meeting. So we did get some really good updates from them on all things to do with, they're still in the throes of working on a after action and update from Hurricane Maria. Of course, the Champlain Tower South update, we got a little bit of a glimpse into that from Judy Matrani Reiser, who is one of the co-leads on the investigation. If you had not followed how NIST plugged into the ongoing rescue and recovery operations, and then the full kind of just post-recovery debris management and investigation pieces, it's a fascinating story and it's a great model. I had the opportunity this past week to catch up with the gentleman who is the incident commander from Miami-Dade that led the Champlain Tower South piece of this, and the integration with NIST and how they stayed out of the way of the first responders and the rescue efforts, while also making sure that their equities and interests were covered in terms of of the evidence and some of the things they were looking to study, and how that works side by side is fascinating in terms of how that worked under a joint command, unified command operation down there in Florida. So take a look at that. If you have an opportunity to be able to do that. But a great day up there. Had the opportunity to go and chat with the folks in the fire lab, met with my good friend Alexander Marigides, and we talked a good bit about wildfire and the ongoing efforts from the campfire report from 2018, the latest of which is a huge priority for both the USFA and for NIST. Is to take a look at this issue of wildfire evacuations. In fact, that has bled into, since it's such a high priority, into my workings with the FEMA National Advisory Council, where we advise the FEMA Administrator, Deanne Criswell, on all things and all things policy. So that is one of the things that's at the top of the list. So being at the fire lab that day was great to see what they were up to. They also asked for input from Beth Tubbs and I into helping shape their strategic plan moving forward too, which is something that the U.S. Fire Administration did previously. So all in all, a really good day up there with NIST and their team and bringing together ICC leaders with them. So let's take a look at who that was, and we're going to mute you so we don't hear your GPS in the background. There we go. So the next item that I had was, I was just at the NEMA Mid-Year Forum in Washington, D.C. So that's the National Emergency Management Association. It's all the state directors of emergency management. So I got to see our former friend and governing committee member, Chief Rob Buxton. Chief Buxton is now the state emergency management director in the state of New Hampshire, and I think he's within throwing range of objects at Sean Toomey's office, as a matter of fact. So it was good to see him here in Washington, D.C. and catch up on any number of things. But one of the things that we were fortunate to hear about was we had the DHS secretary who, oh, by the way, mentioned codes and standards in his briefing to us, Secretary Mayorkas, the FEMA administrator, Deanne Criswell, as well as several other folks from FEMA and federal agencies. And in those conversations, we heard a little bit about building resilient infrastructure in communities, or BRIC. Just to give you a quick update on BRIC, BRIC received about 1,657 sub-applications from state, local, tribal, and territorial governments this year, totaling nearly $8 billion in federal cost share. Just so you know, the federal government is funding BRIC in FY23, which is this current year of BRIC, at $1.8 billion. So that means that the program is oversubscribed by approximately $6.2 billion with a B. So as part of that, I mean, that's really good for FEMA's BRIC program, and it's great to see that keep moving. So we'll look forward to seeing how those applications go. But as many of you, we beat about the head and shoulders in the fire service about this BRIC Building Codes Plus Up. The Building Codes Plus Up received 133 sub-applications from across the country and totaled more than $52 million for this new set-aside funding opportunity. And FEMA just published a press release about that. So for those of you who either helped us spread the word, took briefings from myself or from our staff, or actually took the time to apply this year, there was approximately $100 million on the table. About $52 million of that has been asked for or requested, and 133 sub-apps went in for that. And that is, you know, essentially the largest volume of building code and fire code, building and fire code related proposals that have gone into BRIC since its inception. So I wanted to take time to say thank you for that. Continue to spread the word. And we also had the opportunity to speak with executive leadership from FEMA's Hazard Mitigation Assistance Division, and they indicated that they have every indication in the next year's fiscal cycle that this BRIC Building Codes Plus Up will continue again for at least a year or two. And I know that one of the significant concerns that we heard from state emergency management directors and their hazard mitigation officers was just the simple piece of there wasn't enough time to apply. The notice of funding opportunity came out in October. It closed February 29th. So, you know, in just about 2.5 to 3 months, our staff spent a lot of time trying to get applications and interest spun up on this. So I think we will, hopefully our goal will be to fill that $100 million set aside if that's what we see again next year, since we've got all of the remaining year this year and into the beginning of next year to get that out. So thank you for that. In terms of the ICC Leadership Week, I'm going to share my screen here just really quick and drive you through a couple of things, because as Sean noted earlier, the meetings are coming up, and as you want to take a look at some of this stuff on our website, if you go into our area in terms of news and events under resources and news, you go to news and events, and under annual meetings, you'll come to the future annual meetings page, which shows you our leadership week and committee action hearings for Group A coming up starting April 5th down in Orlando. As you dive into that page, you'll see all the information that you need in terms of the hearing schedule being available. We'll see that here in just a second. Many of you have already seen it. The schedule overview, hotel. For those of you who have not registered for the hotel, our block is closed. But if you need assistance with that, and you, for one reason or another, you have not registered for your hotel yet, please let me know and I'll see what I can do for you. But certainly no guarantees at this point. The other note that I'll give is we are nearly 100% of the ICC Fire Service Membership Council Governing Committee members coming to this program in Orlando. I know that is an enormous lift, particularly over a weekend for all of you. So thank you for committing to doing that. And I know that both Sean and Tim share my sentiments on that. The only one that I think is unable to join us, and it's not surprising, is Chief Lefevre from up in Canada. He wanted to join us, but had another existing commitment. So all of you that are coming, again, thanks. And take a look at all of this when you have a minute. I'll put the link to to this again in our chat here, which Sean likes to brag me about a little bit. So you have it. And then let's see, what else have we got here? The schedule for the hearings is located on the website. So you can grab that and get a look at when the hearings start. So the hearings happen starting Sunday afternoon after our governing committee meeting. So that's why it's unfortunately so early, as Allison had mentioned. And then if you want to take a look in at the code development process and start to even look at, I know there were some mentions of the proposals that are out there for the single staircase issue. All of our proposals are located in codes and standards. And then if you go to code development down here, you'll land on this page. And if you click into this Group A cycle development, you'll come to this page that I'm showing you right now, and you'll see the dates for the Group A cycle. You'll also see the committee action hearing number 2, which is scheduled for our Long Beach annual conference in October. But then when you come down here to the bottom, you'll see a pretty great organization of the way that the codes are. So if you want to dive into the full monograph, it's a big document, but you can do that right at the top. And let's say, for instance, you are looking for the International Fire Code in 2024, and those proposals, you'd find it here. I believe that the single stair proposals, Kelly and others, help me with that one. Is that an egress, IBC egress?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for those proposals, you can just click on that subset of proposals here, for instance, and it would open up. And what you'll find is this this PDF that will open and then show you literally all of the code change proposals in order. There's about 360 pages in here, but you can see where the different code changes are lined up, how they're going to be heard, and then where they fall in this monograph. So all that information is in one place for you. We're looking forward to having you. And just to reiterate what Sean said earlier, we will be having a staff dinner. I believe we're going to schedule that for Saturday evening for those of you who are in. The restaurant is TBD, but it's going to be right after. There's a ICC reception that will happen Saturday afternoon and early evening. And as soon as that concludes, or we're well into it, we will schedule a dinner and make sure that everyone in the group that's coming is invited to that. The last thing that I have for you is that I participated, as you probably remember, in FEMA's Hurricane Ian Mitigation Assessment Team, which took a look at impacts and mitigation interventions following Hurricane Ian down in South Florida. I will again put this link in the chat. I would encourage you to take a look at it. I did an article in our Building Safety Journal about this, but the real key here was not just that it was another hurricane that hit South Florida, but really what we're talking about here is 25 years worth of really strong mitigation and building codes, and a statewide building code down in Florida that helps mitigate hurricane damage. So when you take a look at that from a wind and flood perspective, granted that's not a fire perspective, but in terms of taking a look at what 25 years of strong code will do, if you take a look in that article, it is really demonstrates some of the key pieces in terms of like what we've done. If you look at this picture that I've got here, I've got a 1973 home built slab on grade. Here you've got a 1990 home that's elevated with a modest elevation to it, and then in keeping up with the times, this 2006 home that's got a full elevation to it as well. And as you might expect, the 73 home had a whole heck of a lot of water in it. The 1990 home got the garage and really not much in the main residence, and this 2006 home and beyond stood strong and did not receive any flood water in it, I believe. So that, taking a look at NFIP or National Flood Insurance Program policy claims, huge difference in there. You can look at that on your own time. I'm not going to cover that in detail, but really the big piece is when we start taking a look down here, we say there were absolutely zero, no wind-related structural damage to homes built post-Florida building code. So that came in 2001, the same year that the IBC was published. Since that was published, you see this home here, absolutely no wind damage, but yet less than a quarter of a mile away, take a look at the home that was built to a this is like a 1990 pre-FBC two-story home, and look at the major collapse that happened on that. It's a multi-family unit. It's two families, multiple stories, and the whole roof came in on that. So take a look through that when you have a minute, and that will give you all you need in terms of anytime somebody comes to you and talks to you about what are the impacts from building codes. There you've got it. So that's my report, Mr. Chair. Good to see everybody, and looking forward to seeing everyone in April down in Florida.
Thanks, Carl. Greg, you had your hand up. Did you have something?
Yeah, I did want to just make a couple of quick points for ELMC. So one of the things that we do typically while we're in Orlando is Facebook Lives and other video social media type things. And I just wanted to point out, if you see any of the ELMC folks, giving in or trying to get interviews or something like that, just, if you have a chance or have time, poke your head in, because we'd love to hear from you. Also, while we're down there, during our membership meeting, we will also be having a little education presentation from Phil Anthony. I believe we are going to be starting an hour later than everyone. That might give folks a chance to come and stop by. It should be on Digital Codes and Digital Codes Premium, just to give folks a heads up or a refresher, because I know for some of us, the digital code stuff is a little bit newer. And then my last one is, I know it's almost a year away, but in Long Beach, I personally helped to participate, and I know Allison did last year as well, with PTN Permit Technician and Wicked's Day of Service, doing some volunteer work. This year we're going to be at I think it's Century Village, and Century Village is made up of some low-income families, but a lot of also veterans and stuff like that. I think almost 40% of their population is veterans or veteran families that we're going to be doing some work with, building playscapes and, you know, they call it beautifying the neighborhood type thing. So the registration might be out, but I'm pretty sure it opens, if it's not out already, next week or the week after, to participate. But there'll also be areas for donations and stuff like that, either from, you know, cities or your chapter or anything like that. So I just wanted to throw that out there. You know, give them a hand. It's a great program and do a lot of really good work. Thanks.
Thank you, Greg. All right, any new business from anybody? All right, seeing none, I think we covered the ongoing stuff, the two events. Our next meeting, as we've heard, is Sunday, April 7th at 9 a.m. in Florida. That'll cover our April meeting, so look forward to seeing everyone in person there. Any questions, comments, or anything good of the order? One's gonna take a 5-minute break before the 3 o'clock or whatever time it is for everybody. The next meeting on the hour, I should say. So, just want to say thanks for spending 90 minutes of your day with us today. I think we had to get some great conversation. We had just over 60 people at the peak of this today, so another great attendance. And thanks for everyone's input. And I look forward to seeing everyone in a couple weeks. And take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, deal.
There it is.
Second, Reed.
Everyone's gone. See you in a couple weeks, everybody. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.